From the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Tuesday, November 5th. I'm Abby Larico. It is Election Day, and we have all the important reminders and updates for this last day of voting, and this story on the first voting experience for students at a local school looking to elect their new mascot.
The old one was falling apart, and you couldn't see through it, and it smelled.
Plus, indulge in a few minutes of some truly old-fashioned alternative programming, courtesy of a couple in Rolla, for whom using a manual typewriter is a multi-sensory experience.
You have the touch, the feel of it, the weight of your hands, you have the sound, you have the smell of the ink.
That's all coming up on The Gateway. It is Election Day, and voters have until 7 o'clock tonight to get in line to cast their ballots. A couple of reminders. St. Louis County and city voters can go to any polling place within their jurisdiction that's convenient, regardless of the precinct assigned to their home address. Election authorities there have also launched real-time line tracker websites to help voters gauge wait times. Voters do have to go to their designated polling places if they live in St. Charles, Jefferson, Phelps, St. Clair, or Madison counties, though. Illinois voters who weren't previously registered or whose information has changed can also register at a polling place and then vote right away today at certain locations. That requires bringing additional documents, including ID. All voters in Missouri also need to bring along an ID to vote. If you voted by mail and want to check to see that your ballot was received, you can use your ballot ID to check the status on the tracker websites in St. Louis County, and St. Charles County, or call your local election authority. Mail-in ballots can also be dropped off at your election authority's office today. Thousands of people have already voted. Election authorities report this morning more than 225,000 St. Louis County, more than 55,000 St. Louis City, and more than 76,000 St. Charles County voters voted early. Missouri and Illinois poll workers have already begun processing these early and mail-in ballots, but official vote counting in both Missouri and Illinois doesn't start until tonight when the polls close. You can find ID options, those line tracker sites, and our voter guide at stlpr.org. Union workers at Boeing have voted to end their strike. The Seattle-based union at the aerospace giant approved a tentative contract late Monday night. This is after workers had voted down a previous contract less than 2 weeks ago. The company's latest offer includes a 38% wage increase over 4 years. NPR reports the agreement was backed by union leadership and approved by 59% of members who voted. Unionized workers in Boeing's commercial operations walked off the job almost 2 months ago, costing the company an estimated $100 million per week and forcing company-wide furloughs and layoffs of 10% of its workforce. Boeing employees in St. Louis have felt some of those cuts. The company employs around 17,000 people in the region at facilities that support its defense division. Amazon is setting up in Quincy. The new 59,000 square foot last mile facility will double as a warehouse and distribution center. An Amazon last mile facility is the final stop before packages are delivered. Kyle Moore is president of the Great River Economic Development Foundation. He says the addition showcases why Quincy is a logistics hub.
Amazon's new distribution center will not only provide expedited service to our area, but lifelong career opportunities with competitive pay and benefits for our local workforce. So we're very excited about this.
It's unclear how many jobs Amazon will bring to Quincy. Construction will take 9 months to a year to finish. Amazon reopened its Edwardsville warehouse in September after it was destroyed by a tornado that killed 6 employees. St. Louis County officials are encouraging residents to get a flu shot before Thanksgiving. St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton reports they want people to protect themselves from the virus before the holidays.
Federal health officials, scientists, and manufacturers update the flu vaccine each year to better match circulating strains of the virus. That's why doctors recommend getting one every year. St. Louis County health officials say adults and children over 6 months old should get the vaccine. The flu can spread rapidly in daycare centers and schools. The vaccines take around 2 weeks to fully go into effect, so they recommend getting one soon to be fully protected by Thanksgiving. Flu activity in St. Louis County and Missouri is at a low level, according to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. The state's recorded around 600 cases of the virus so far this season. I'm Sarah Fenton, St. Louis Public Radio.
Students at Forsyth School in St. Louis have been studying how elections work. They recently took to the polls to vote for an important figure, their school mascot. St. Louis Public Radio's Hiba Ahmed reports.
I promise
to do my best
as a Forsyth School poll worker.
This is the oath sixth graders at Forsyth School took earlier in the day at their polling station. The room has poll workers checking in voters, ballot clerks, voting booths, and of course, a red, white, and blue ballot box. The entire school, from 2-year-olds to 6th graders, is casting their ballots for a new Freddie the Falcon, the school mascot. 6th grader Maddie says it's time for a new Freddie.
The old one was falling apart and you couldn't see through it and it smelled.
Leo, a 6th grader checking in voters, says the students can choose from 3 different versions of Freddie.
Freddie number 1 looks like a falcon with a reddish neck, and it has a pretty fire head. Freddie number 2 has no fingers. Yeah, its face is kind of scary.
Students created campaigns for each Freddie, made colorful signs, and learned how to run a polling station using real polling pads, which are used to check in voters.
We say, can you please restate your first name?
Dorothea.
6th grader Piper uses the pad to check in students.
And it's to print the receipt of their name, and we say, thank you.
After students fill out the ballots, they drop them into the ballot box.
Thank you for voting.
And of course, the most important part, they get a neon green I voted sticker. I caught 6th grader Owen after he voted.
I also think it's important because we have an election, so it's good to understand the importance of that election, and we need to know how to vote because we're going to be doing it in 8 years.
6th grade social studies teacher Joe Kaminsky says getting kids out of the classroom for a mock election shows how voting works.
We can talk about the electoral process, we can talk about the electoral college, but finding something that's real and tangible and impactful in our students' lives. So they're picking a new mascot, a new Freddie Falcon, and that's something that their decision, they get to live with.
So which mascot took home the win? Freddie number 2, the kind of scary-looking one. I'm Hiba Ahmed, St. Louis Public Radio.
Our David Cazares edited that piece. These days, most typing is done quietly on a computer keyboard or a phone. But as St. Louis Public Radio's Jonathan All reports, a couple in Rolla has opened up a business they hope will build interest in a much older form of putting words on a page.
Shane Burns stumbled into an antique shop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 2019 while working for the Navy and found a Royal Quiet Deluxe typewriter. He was instantly smitten.
It's everything. It's from the sight, the sound. It's, when you type on something, it's deliberate. It's with intention, and you're taking your thoughts and putting it on paper, and no one can take that away, right? And it's also tangible at the same time.
That started his collection, and then learning how to repair them. Now retired, he and his wife moved to Rolla to be close to family. And these old typewriters went from being a hobby to being part of a community to a business. In May, they opened Clickety Clack Typewriters, where they sell and service machines, including some that are more than 100 years old. Amanda Byrne is pursuing an online master's degree in creative writing, and she says typing on a computer or a phone just doesn't compare.
They're very two-dimensional. It's very flat. You put something out in the cloud and it just kind of goes away, and you just really hope that it's still there when you log in the next time. But with a typewriter, you have the touch, the feel of it, the weight of your hands. You have the sound. You have the smell of the ink.
In addition to selling and fixing typewriters, the Burns host type-ins at community events where enthusiasts and the curious can try out typewriters. The Burns say Clickety Clack Typewriters has so far been more about covering their costs and building a community than it has been about making money. But they love bringing more people to manual typewriters, one keystroke at a time.
In Rolla, I'm Jonathan All, St. Louis Public Radio.
Brian Heffernan edited that piece. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Theme music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur, but this is The Typewriter by Leroy Anderson. Tune in for election results coverage tonight and tomorrow morning on air, on the STLPR app, and here on the podcast. I'm Abby Larico, and from the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this has been The Gateway.